pleasure.
Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the Colin Dangaard Show. With me today is the beautiful Savanna, who has made a fortune out of love.
Yes.
Not the way you think, maybe, but she puts on wonderful hosts. She hosts wonderful parties where people meet each other and they fall in love, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea.
It is. It's
Now, how did you start that? Where did you get that idea?
so where I kind of got the idea was I was watching this show called Love is Blind. And basically the whole concept of the show was about meeting the love of your life blind, without seeing each other. Like, is love truly blind? So after that kind of idea, I thought to myself, I believe personally in the concept that love can be blind. So I thought today, in this age of apps and going off basically only looks, not learning, the deeper part that you would be willing to learn, not knowing about their physical appearance, should be brought to real life. Like, we should bring blind dating back, essentially. So I started this business about a year ago, and, I started off pretty small, a few people, and they would come and they'd go on 5-minute dates, and they would be rotated around by me. But it's gotten to the point now where I am doing it in groups of 15 to 20 people, like 20 men, 20 women. I mean, we've sold out entire rooftop areas, entire places where it's completely shut off for us, since it's turned into such a popular event. And now I incorporate games and all of that, because I think love is, dating is hard, and finding love is hard, and you want it to be as comfortable and easy and natural as you possibly can, but not be judged just by, your face on an app. So I love it, though.
That's good. What are the things that you feel you've seen a lot of men meet a lot of women, and vice versa?
Yes.
And basically, everybody seems to be on the hunt one way or the other. That's our society. We're all looking for a mate.
Yes.
What do you think? What is the most common mistakes that men make when they look across a crowded room and they see that girl that they'd really like to know, and they approach her? What is the mistake that most of them make?
It's funny you ask, because I also do night outs. So I meet up with a client and I kind of observe him in an area where a bar or a brewery or something of the sort, where it is a place to meet other singles, and watch him kind of how he would be naturally and give him critique. And I think I've done that more than a dozen times since I've started doing it. And I've noticed the main thing that men do that's wrong is, usually women will be in a group, right, of friends. They will spot out a woman, they will go beeline it to the woman instead of introducing yourself to the entire group or anything like that. They mainly go straight to the woman and start out with a just pretty cringy comment like, I saw you from across the room and I just had to come and say hi. And it makes the woman feel like an object. It makes her feel like she can't just go out with her friends and have a good time. She has to be creepily approached by this guy who isn't even acknowledging anyone around her. Also, as well, I noticed a lot of guys don't ever ask questions about the women. I've noticed they just kind of blurt out, I have money, I have, so many cars, I do this, I do that. And the woman's sitting there and it's like, man, maybe you just need a therapist, not a girlfriend, And it's just, it's never kind of brought around oh, what do you do? How do you like this? What do you think of this? And it's just, it's got to be a taught thing for men. But a lot of the time they don't even want to hear any criticism I have to give them either. So it's a double-ended sword.
Okay, but do men ask you for help? Do men say, can you help me with this? Can you help me approach a woman correctly? And
They don't like to kind of come up and ask. It'll be more like, what services do you offer? And I'll kind of explain it to them in a way of not me saying, like, this is me critiquing you. This is, it's more of like, let's just go for a night out and I'll kind of give you my 2 cents. And, we can keep this, it's like coaching in real life, like real life coaching. But men don't really, like I said before, they don't really love asking for help. And especially when I give them my opinion and they don't want to hear it, it doesn't go all that well. But I try to be as accommodating as I can to people's feelings and needs.
What is a mistake that, say, women make when a man approaches them, and obviously he's a bit intimidated one way or the other? She may be very beautiful, like yourself, and so that would be intimidating. So,
Sure.
what would you ask women to do in that situation?
I think this is the age of just honesty and like not, I mean, it also depends. Is she there? Does she want a free drink? I mean, if that's what she's really looking for that night, I mean, you can continue it. But for a woman, I think it's like an honest era, just being like, a guy comes up and says that to you, just, kindly look at him and be like, I appreciate the compliment. I'm here with my girlfriends, so I'm not really looking to meet new people today, or just be, a lot of women just kind of, they just like play with it, or, maybe like tagging along to see how many drinks they can get, and if that, like I said, if that's your thing, I mean, go ahead. But I think a lot of women need to just start being more, upfront about not being interested.
Do you think social media has a lot to do with how people are behaving today?
Yes, most definitely.
Like what?
Well, it depends. When you ask me, in what ways? Like, do you?
I don't know. If somebody gets on social media, there's a big controversy now that social media is harmful to young women.
Yeah.
Because they see other women who are beautiful, and then they get intimidated themselves, and that's a negative impact on them.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I completely agree. I think everyone is comparing themselves to this false image. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows they've met people that, have, you see their Instagram post, and 1 week they're in Tokyo, and the next week they're getting engaged, and then, the next week they're pregnant, and you see them in real life, and they're miserable. They're not happy. They're not, they don't want to get married. They don't want to do these things. I think all of social media is pretty much, it's a facade. It's fake. So I think that nowadays, I mean, I feel like a lot of, I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I feel as though Instagram, a lot of people think TikTok, that is what is like the worst type of social media, but I genuinely think that Instagram is just the worst source of social media that we have today on our phones.
Why is that?
Because I feel as though it's not reality. It's a picture and an image from a moment, and it's giving so many people, first of all, it's addicting. People are so addicted to social media and one-upping someone and always trying to look better than the other person and all of this stuff. And it's like, and people then take it to themselves, and then they get this thing called FOMO. I don't know if you have heard of FOMO.
No, explain that one.
FOMO is the fear of missing out. I know my mom didn't know it either. I think maybe it's just your generation doesn't know these weird terms.
I don't know the term because I don't know that I've missed out on anything.
No. Yeah. Okay, so because you probably haven't missed out on a single thing in your entire life.
Oh, there was a girl in Tokyo who slapped my face, but apart from that...
You know what? Well, I'm really glad you missed that opportunity because nothing comes good from a Tokyo girl slapping you in the face. Okay, so... but yeah, FOMO is like... it's the feeling of just never being complacent or, comfortable where you are. You are always searching for the next thing. You're always wanting something more. And then you get there to that point in your life, and then you're like, okay, this isn't good enough because Jimmy just got, a brand new Tesla, and then you want to do that, and then you work hard to get the Tesla, and it's just this constant, search for fulfillment that it just never is really met ever. And I feel like our generation too, because I am a millennial, I'm just on the cusp of it. Since I'm 27. I feel like our generation and, now Gen X, I feel like we are the generation that really got screwed with social media and all of this stuff. Like, I feel like older generations like yours or my mom's or, you guys, you missed that, I don't know, how do you say it? That, yeah.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
Well, there was obviously today there is a much wider ocean of opportunity.
Yeah.
In that there's a lot more access to opportunity, which is access to other people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more access to it today. But at the same time, it hasn't enhanced the moment of contact. There's still that moment that has to be overcome when you're face to face with somebody, and now you have to talk with them, and you have to be on your best behavior and have to look your best and try and be your best. But sitting behind a computer, you can fake all that all day long. Go and have another drink or something and say, yeah, I feel debonair now. Let me give it to him,
Yeah.
Talking about drinking for a minute and drugs and everything else, that seems to be a big thing today. At least my generation thinks that your generation is totally drugged out all the time. What do you think of that? Am I wrong?
When you say drugged out, are you talking more about maybe like illegal drugs and pharmaceutical drugs, or are you just talking more kind of like illegal drugs? Because I have a say on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, well, let's. I don't see a lot of. There is a difference between illegal drugs and legal drugs, and one is illegal and one isn't. Mm-hmm. But they're all drugs. They're all under the same umbrella. You can get stuff from the pharmacy that's legal, but is it good for you to do every day? Probably not. But what I'm wondering is, in your view, has the consumption of drugs, legal or illegal, does it impact your generation? Do you feel that there's something happening there?
I think that so I've had this conversation a lot with, older people and that grew up in a way different time. And I say, because I myself suffer from really bad anxiety, right? Terrible, terrible anxiety. And I have a lot of friends. I have a girlfriend who's bipolar and, all of these friends and people I know suffering. And I've talked to other people and I said, when you were in school, when you were in your 20s, did anyone suffer from anything? Did you? And then, I've always heard, no. And, I hear a lot of oh, now it's just everyone wants to have an excuse to be lazy and this and that. And I say to that is, I think that it just wasn't talked about back then. I don't think anyone really discussed their emotions, because especially men, and not only who, by the way, suffer almost just as much as women do silently, way more silent, for, reasonings of masculinity, this, that, all of that goes into that. But they, it just wasn't talked about at that time. And now it's being brought up. People are being honest. It's, people are talking about how they feel. People are talking about, their suicidal thoughts, and we have helplines, that I'm sure we had back then, but are so much more loud and pronounced. So I'm getting to all of this is for pharmaceutical drugs, a lot of people have weird thoughts on it in the sense of like they don't believe in it. They don't, but I have to ask, like, okay, if you don't believe in these drugs that are literally saving lives for people, and you're going to say to me you don't believe in it. So that makes me ask you before we get into anything else. I got to know, why do you not think that taking something that cures your anxiety every day instead of, going out and being anxious out of your mind, having a psychotic episode, and then who knows, like it ends up being in like a, like these people going around and having like these mass murders. Like, why do you feel so like strongly that pharmaceuticals are not good for people?
I'd agree with that. Drugs are, the amazing thing about drugs is they're all wonderful, really, illegal or legal. If they weren't wonderful, the illegal drugs, people wouldn't take them. But they take them because they get off on it. It's a wonderful thing. But is it good? No. So, but...
But why what do you mean no?
Well, I think you can get destroyed by it because it's very addictive, like drinking or something like that.
But I'm talking about not drinking. I know all of those things are different. I'm talking about going to the doctor and getting prescribed something and picking it up from the pharmacy. That's what I'm talking about. You don't think that's good?
Oh, no, I think that is good.
Oh, okay.
No,
I guess I was getting the wrong idea.
No, I think illegal drugs are my big question mark because you don't know what's in them. A doctor gives you something for a condition that you have. Well, you can reasonably assume that that he knows what's in these drugs, that he knows everything about these drugs, or most that he can know about them, that they've come from a reliable source, nobody's interfered with them.
Yeah.
So that's a safekeeping thing. And you've got to trust that he knows what he's doing because he does this all the time.
Yes.
I ride horses all the time, and I see other people get on a horse, and I go, "Oh my God, they're shocking." So I think it's the same with people who deal drugs. If they don't know what they're dealing, well, that's shocking.
Yeah.
They're not schooled at it. But I'm just wondering now. There is a lot of drugs around, illegal and legal, and I'm just, my generation seems to think that we've lost your generation because they're all on drugs.
Yeah.
But that may not be the case. So I want to ask you, what do you feel about that statement, that a generation has been lost?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to alcoholism, I mean, I grew up with a girlfriend who both of her parents were complete alcoholics, and it destroyed her entire family. And now I think to myself, I'm not too sure about alcoholism. I think it's more of like a addiction thing that's passed down, in the opinion, that kind of where I'm coming from. But for drugs, I think the big thing that is like fentanyl. I think that's the drug that's going around now. I mean, I'm sure you've met someone that has either known someone or heard of someone that has died suddenly from fentanyl. I've had 2 friends pass away from it in the past 2 years. So, I mean, that is what is absolutely killing so many people. And it's being laced. Drugs are being laced with this, which is...
That's my original drive in asking this question, because I know a couple of people who are friends, or acquaintances rather, who've died with fentanyl.
Yeah.
And you know 2 people, so there's 100% of the people in this room right now who knows 2 people who died of it. So you can extrapolate that across the country, and that's millions and millions of people are being impacted.
I know.
With it. And
it's the number 1 killer. It's a bigger killer right now than I'm not going to misquote myself, but it was above something that was very very common cause of death, that it was above it. And I remember I looked at it and I was like, there's no way. It's crazy what is going on here. And they, in a bathroom, if you were to go into a bathroom right now, mostly at like bars or breweries or whatnot, a lot of party places, or you go to party, they have on the paper towel dispenser, it has a phone number, and it's basically like a device that if someone's has ingested fentanyl, if you have enough time to put this to use this device, you could possibly save the person. So I mean, that's how big it is right now. It's like, like, it's insane.
Which prompts me to another question. Why is your generation, I'll talk about your generation and my generation, but my generation was mostly booze. But
Yeah.
so yours is just another drug. And my generation got into booze because it was the thing you did.
Yeah.
You did a deal with somebody, had a drink over the deal, and that was the deal. But it was very much part of a open social situation. Whereas drugs don't seem to be like that. They seem to be more passed quietly, more consumed quietly, and illicit, of course, or legal, where you can get legal drugs too, as I said. But we were driven by that was what our parents did. Our parents drank like crazy. So I didn't think, and I drank like crazy too, as a matter of fact. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Because when I was 21, I was a beer drinking champion of Sydney. And
That doesn't surprise me.
And that's how I got hired, because I won the beer drinking championship, not because I was a great journalist or a good journalist, and I always consider myself an excellent journalist. But to bump me up to the top of the list on who's going to get hired, winning the beer drinking championship of Sydney was certainly an amazing leg up. That was something else.
So I got to know, how many beers did you drink and in what time period?
Okay, I drank 16 schooners.
Not sure what that is.
Schooners are 16 ounces of beer. I drank 16 of them. 16 ounces?
16 ounces
Yes.
of 16 beers.
Yes. 16 ounces.
In what amount of time?
Somewhere between 2 and 3. I started to lose count after that. But and it was boat racing rules, which was very interesting. Boat racing rules were everybody got in a circle, and you had wore numbers and everything else, and it was a proper contest, and you had judges and everything. And boat racing rules was if you downed your drink first, then everybody else had to down their drink within 1 minute. So it was a speed contest. Somebody could make it a speed contest. And that's actually how I won it. I made it a speed contest because I decided I was going to win this, and I'm a determined type of person. And so I didn't drink anything for about 3 days. I was
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
dehydrated.
Yes, and then you're going to drink all of these beers.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the aftermath?
The aftermath was I woke up on a train, and I looked out the window, and there were trees flying by, and I thought, I'm on a train and there's trees going by. I must be somewhere strange. Yeah. And so I pulled the cord, and the train stopped, and along came this little conductor guy. He looks at me and he said, "Did you pull the cord?" And I said, "Yeah." "Why did you do that?" I said, "I think I'm dying." And he says, "Well, you're not dying on my train. Get off."
No deaths here tonight. So, yeah.
But it was
so he kicked you off.
He kicked me off the train, and
So
along came a little one of those push motors. They pump it up and down to inspect the lines, and so I flagged that down and got on there, and finally got home 2 days later. And I wasn't well for about another 2 days, but I went back to work, not to work, but I went back to the newspaper, expecting to be fired and ordered out of the room, but instead the editor, whose name was Len Cossey, he said, "Sit down." He said, "You brought remarkable honour to our paper. You won the beer drinking contest. We've never won it." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." So he says, "There's a nice corner window over there that overlooks the park. That's your office." And he says, "You're going to be on police rounds. That means you're going to go out throughout the city at 4 o'clock in the morning. A car will pick you up. And you drive around.
Cow?
A car would pick you up.
Yes,
A car
thanks.
would pick you up and drive you around the city. And you'll see who stabbed who and shot whom and talk to the cops about it and write stories, okay? And where the cops talk after they finish their shift at 5 o'clock in the morning is at the police club. And what do? They all drink. So your job is going to be to hang out at the police club because they're amateur drinkers. You're a champion.
Mm-hmm.
You can hold your drink and they can't. So they'll spill the beans.
So that's how your life just began.
Yeah.
Because you drank all those beers.
Yeah, but was certainly I would never have got that job. But
I mean, that's
yeah, but
that just doesn't happen.
I mean, I can't say I slowed down any in the future.
Oh.
I drank a lot all my life.
Do you drink now?
No. Smart people eventually stop what can destroy them, and I'm halfway smart, so I quit because it didn't look good. I didn't feel good, mostly because you chop a lot of hours out of every day if you drink or if you do drugs, and you're not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to write books and be halfway intelligent about that. So I had to have all my brains. I only have a small brain, so I wanted it all to be working at once.
Of course.
That's how it works.
So I need to ask, because this is another thing, too, that I know on the talk of drugs and alcohol. So when you knew you wanted to stop, like, did you have people before you decided to cut it? Did you have a lot of people coming to you and wanting to help you get clean, help you stop drinking, or anything like that? Or did people not really talk about this with you?
No, nobody talked about that. In fact, I'll tell you the exact time this happened when I quit drinking. About 15 years ago, I'm driving a big truck and trailer out of a show in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's 12 o'clock in the daytime. I'm about to leave after this very successful show, and I go through a stop sign and get side barreled by a lady in a car.
Oh, God.
But I went through a stop sign, which I didn't see because it was behind some branches hanging over on the side of the road. But at that moment, when I'm sitting in my truck and there's debris flying everywhere and that terrible sound of crunching metal and gasoline, and
Yeah.
you think,
I'm glad you're okay.
yeah, well, that's what I thought at that moment. And I thought, well, I did notice something. I was holding the steering wheel in my hand. I had held it with such force, and we're talking, I have a 1-ton Dodge truck, and I held it with such force it took it off the steering column.
Did you know the car was coming? Like,
No, I didn't
or
see
you
it.
didn't see the car
didn't
and all
see
of a
it.
sudden you're just
Didn't see it.
flipping?
Didn't I just, so I put down the steering wheel, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then the thought occurred to me right then. I thought, well, it's 12 o'clock. If it was 2 o'clock, I would have had a couple of beers, a couple of glasses of wine or something. And would I have had that reaction to react in a fraction of a second that I did to save myself? And I did save myself. If I hadn't done that, I'd be dead. That'd be for sure. And then I stepped out of the truck, and I thought to myself just before I got out, I thought, I'm never going to drink again ever. I think that was a bullet that went right past my head. Just enough I heard the whistle. So that's a warning. And I was thankful I had a warning. And I just decided to quit. But funnily enough, I got out of the truck. Cops came and there's people surrounded, and there's a lady there who's got hurt in the other car. So they took her off. And the cop looked at the scene. He says, "You went through a stop sign." I says, "Yeah, well, I didn't see it." And he says, "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, you look at it." And he couldn't find it either. It was behind some tree branches. And he says, "Oh, okay." But he said, "I've got to give you a ticket anyhow." But then he said to me, he says, what's that steering wheel doing on the seat of the truck? I said, I tore it off. He says, with your bare hands? And I says, yeah, that's all I got here. And he says, I've never seen that happen. So it was a pretty remarkable, amazing moment. But I think that's what everybody needs if you're going to change something in your life that's not good for you.
Yeah.
You need a moment.
I was going to say.
It's a
I've
moment.
had that moment too.
Yes.
Well, not with drinking, but I've had that moment.
Yeah. But we all seem to need it, don't we? We need that
To
moment.
change, I personally think so. I mean, what I was kind of asking you about people asking you to change, I feel like I even know people where, you know, I see outside, I see what they're going through, and they can't because they're in it. And I could sit here, and because I'm a very caring person. When I love someone, I mean, all of my friends have been in my lives 10 plus years. My best friend, 20, it's been like 21 years that we've been best friends, right? And I could like consume myself every day and spend so much time and energy talking about it, speaking about it, you know, kind of trying to like get my point across, hoping and praying like they're going to listen to me. I know what's best for them. I know what's right for them. But people only change. It's like leading, you know, a horse to water and just trying to make it drink. It's going to drink when it's ready to drink. I mean, it's the same thing with life. Like you just have to let people have their moment, like we were talking about. And then when they're ready to change, they're going to do it themselves.
Now, have you had anything in your life that's been a special challenge for you to overcome?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like what?
Well, I know this might sound really ridiculous, and I know whoever's watching this doesn't know me, but everyone close to me knows that I have been sober from cookies for 1 year now, which is great. Can you say congrats?
Cookies.
Cookies. Can you
Wow.
Can we do a little applause? Can I get an applaud?
Yeah.
You guys?
Cookies.
I mean, like, come on. See, this is what I mean. No one takes me seriously. I mean, my mom, if she was listening, she'd understand. But, yeah, you know, I've suffered from a horrible eating disorder for, like, a very long period of time. And I finally got a grip on it.
Now,
I finally got a grip on it.
now, what was the moment of the grip?
Wow, the moment of the grip was I was severely underweight. I mean, to the point where my brain wasn't functioning. I was severely depressed. I wouldn't leave my room. I mean, you know, when you don't feed your body, it just starts shutting down. And my body was at the point of like, I was in and out of consciousness. I was sitting on my bedroom floor. I was like trying to catch my breath, and I was watching TV. And I'm like in and out of just like conscious, literally, because my body was like, I swear I was probably going to get hospitalized. And my brother comes in the room and he looks at me and he goes, you know, if you don't get right, you're going to die. And then I'm not going to have a sister, and mom and dad aren't going to have a daughter. And that's just a joke. That's just a joke. Like, giving me just this advice that was so real and clear, and I was like in such a state of consciousness when he was telling me these things, and something just clicked in my brain, and then that was it.
Was it difficult?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's different types of people who love to eat and people who eat to live. And I'm one that is just with food. I don't see it as, let's go to dinner and enjoy a soup, salad, and some bread. And then, you know, we'll talk and laugh and drink some wine and go home. I view food as like a comfort, like a literal blanket. Like I eat to feel like almost safe in a sense. And I'm very open with it, and I've done a lot of work with it because I've been dealing with it for so long. And and it's something I've definitely struggled with and still struggle with. But you kind of just learn the best you can to stay out of triggering places or triggering like areas. Or like, if I'm really sad or I'm around people that make me very uncomfortable, I'll go home and I just have this dire need to just, because I also had, after my anorexia, I kind of switched to the other side and started this binge eating kind of disorder, which is, it's all about like a emotion control, restrict type of thing. It's very interesting to get into. But, and so I've just avoided places that make me feel uncomfortable because then I want to go home and I'm just like, oh, I feel like I need that safety blanket. I need that feeling of like comfort. I'm going to go binge eat and that's how I'm going to get it. And so I just try to surround myself as much as I can in positive places with people surrounding me that I know love me and I love them, So that's the best way that I've kind of learned how to deal with it.
It would seem to be a bit of a challenge, given that now what you do and what you've been very successful at is having dating events which are sort of like parties. People, there'll be things, stuff to eat there and drinks and all of that. So that's like you'd be setting yourself up to slip back into your old ways in that place.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say if I'm doing what I love, and I'm really involved in it and I'm happy and I'm really enjoying it, which I genuinely love and very passionate about what I do, about putting together speed dating events, I don't even really think about it. I don't think about if I need a drink or if I need to go get food. I'm really there thinking about attentive front of the line, like making sure everyone's comfortable, making sure everyone's having a good time, making sure no one's making anyone, like feel strange or anything like that. I really want the event to go super, just as smoothly as possible because I really want these people to find love. I mean, they're coming here and they're already being so vulnerable and putting, everyone's so nervous. It's such a delicate thing that we're working with what I'm doing. And then, I need to make sure that everyone has a good experience individually. It's because it's an event. I always, and I have a lot of people that come back, which is my favorite thing. A lot of people come to a speed dating once and they think, okay, I came once, I experienced it, whatever. Or they think, I can't come again, even though I didn't find my person, I can't come again. Well, you have to think about the real dating world, right? You go on an app. How many dates, and I'm talking about full dates, let's say the time it takes to get ready, then you go, and then you sit together, and it's like 2 hours, and maybe you're feeling them. Most likely you're not, because I feel like you get this fake facade of who someone is really over the internet. I mean, you don't really know who they are. And then after that, then you spend all this money, which is fine if you don't mind. I mean, but, if you don't, I get some people who are on a budget, So, and after that, it's kind of like women also feel very uncomfortable at the end of a date, which is another reason why I love speed dating, because a lot of the times women, it's like the guys that kind of walk you to your car, and they usually say, yeah, and it's like weird, and then they maybe try to like hook up or like make, it's a very, you don't know this person, and, it's kind of, you feel almost, I know I for sure have had like said yes to going and having someone walk me to my car when I'm like, oh God, this is the last thing that I want, And then, so I like that because you can date a person for 5 minutes, feel it out, and then it's to the next, and then it's to the next. And then you can just go. You can just walk away. And you went on all of those dates that you would have been and not found your person, and saved all that money too, because it's only $30 for a ticket, which is an amazing price to go on a date with so many people. And then by the end of that, and like, I feel like you know a connection pretty quickly.
How has this impacted your love life? Have you did you find your mate this way, or how did it work for you?
So I did not meet anyone doing the speed dating. I don't like to go there and like kind of delve into that space. I don't go there looking for people, but I'd be open to it. Like if I were single and I wanted to, like I definitely would be open. Why not? Would you?
Yeah, of
Have
course.
you been to one?
Yeah, I went to one.
You went to one?
I had a good time.
You did?
I did. A very good time. Yeah.
Tell me about it. How was it? I need a refill of this tea.
Yeah, I will tell you about it.
I love you. I love you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm dating your mother,
Yes.
and I took her there, which did make a small complication. I felt like I could only use one oar
I
rowing.
remember you took my mother,
Yes.
the woman you're dating,
Yes, great.
to go to a speed dating event with you,
Yes,
and
right.
her watch you date other people.
Well,
How did she feel about that? I never really got to talk to her about this. Let's hear it.
well, I didn't hook up with anybody, so I guess it was okay.
Oh, good.
And I
Yeah.
told her that she was the most beautiful woman there anyhow.
Yeah, she knows. My mom's a very confident, wonderful woman. I'm sure she definitely has, seeing my mom over the years with dating you. It's definitely, I've seen a very, I think you really helped her get back on her feet.
Well, she helped me,
Yeah,
so we helped each other.
which is beautiful.
Our spouses died within 2 months of each other at the time, and I met her at the feed store. And the lady at the feed store said, "Oh, this is Savanna Somma. You should meet her." And I said, "Yeah, why is that?" And she said, "Well, her husband just died recently, and your wife just died. So you got something to talk about." I said, "Indeed I do." So I said, "Hey."
So there you go.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So you introduced. And
But then about 5 weeks later, she called me up and reintroduced herself again. And I'd forgotten about her by then.
wow,
And
that's so romantic.
yes, it was. So I took her. So
My heart
I said, let's
racing.
I said, let's go for lunch. So we met for lunch at a restaurant, and she walked across the room, and I thought, no, this is never going to work. I said,
Remember, this is my mother. You're
yes, I
talking
know,
about.
but I said, she's going to
Okay.
be a Jewish princess. Could I afford a Jewish princess? No.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a compliment.
Yes, I used to be wealthy, but I am no longer. I'm well off, but not wealthy like before. That's
Yeah.
okay. But then, what happened was, I started to fall in love with her. Seriously.
Well, I need to tell you that after the first date with you, I got a call, okay, from my mother. All right? And you weren't the only one not feeling it at the beginning of the date, okay? So don't think that everyone's so in love with you, okay? Come on. You need to get your head out of your ass. All right? She goes, "Oh, Savanna." Because, my mom, before she really met you, she didn't really date a single person, since my dad passed. So she goes, "Savanna, is dating this going to be this bleak? This is like this, really? This is what I have to look forward to?" I said, "Well, how was the date?" She goes, "Oh, I would never, ever just want to date someone like that because you had a problem. You don't like going to restaurants and you don't like being served on and you're just kind of, you complain and, I don't even think you paid for the lunch." I think you split it with my mom when you asked her to go to lunch. So, but, I'm glad you guys grew on each other. And I think you two have so many similar interests.
Yeah.
Especially your horses and...
Your mum is remarkable, and she's a great lady for me.
So how about I know she sells your saddles for you. You
Yeah,
know, how
yeah.
do you like her working for you? How do you
I
feel
love
like
it. I love
with
it.
her saddles?
I
Like,
love it.
you think so?
I love it. She's getting very good at it, and she's very interested in the product and interested in horses, and it's kind of come a bit full circle for her. And she's a remarkable horsewoman. Um, you know, we are quite different as horse people. I tend to be a till of the hun. She tends to be a little bit more refined and thoughtful of the horse, and I'm thoughtful of the horse too. Like, how fast are we going? How steep is that hill?
I don't think you care how steep the hill is. Because once I came here with my friend and you texted them after and said, all right, next time you come, you're going to come down this hill. And it wasn't a hill. It was a drop-off cliff. It was a literal drop-off cliff you wanted them to go down. So, but maybe, I don't know, in your saddles, maybe you can do it, but I feel like I would fly away like a, I don't know. I'm not a horse.
Yeah.
I'm not a horse lover.
But getting back to your speed dating empire that's growing,
Yeah.
Where do you hope it to go? Where would you like it to go?
Great question. So I would like it to go. I would like to expand to do more niche dating, speed dating, instead of just, you know, like I do singles nights for people, and I do gay nights as well. The gay nights have been a little difficult for me, to be honest, so I'm hoping that gets a little better, because I feel like a lot of people that I've seen that come to the gay events that I host, they either just kind of come and they see it as like a hookup way, like to meet, to hook up, and then they'll literally just like, I'll be like standing there. You want a funny story?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first gay speed dating that I've ever hosted in my entire life. I do this because I think that men and women need to find connections just as much as people with autism, you know, people who are gay, anyone in the world, everyone wants love, right? No matter what it is. So, I'm starting this, I do a gay speed dating night, and, you know, these men come and everyone, all of a sudden, it's like 5 minutes into this, okay? A group of like 6 of them leave. And one of them goes, we'll be back in 5 minutes. No one comes back in 5 minutes. It's been literally 15 minutes. I'm still waiting on most of them to come back. A guy from where I was hosting it at the hotel runs to me and goes, I need to let you know that in the bathroom, I think there's something big going on.
Wow.
So, I thought, what does big mean? Please, someone. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm very like, you know, I'm trying this, and I'm, you know, I love to do my own thing, but at the same time, you know, I feel like weird shit happens to me that wouldn't happen to anyone else all the time. So I'm like, this would happen. The first gay speed dating I ever. And he looks at me and he's like, you need to go in there and do something about it.
That's funny.
He's dead serious. Like, you want me to go do something about this? And now we start whispering back and forth to each other. He's like, I need you to go do this right now. Like, this is really like, this is a problem. And oh my God, I'm not going in there. You need to go in there. This is it. I was like, and we're sweating. I start sweating. And like, the other guys are like, oh, is this going to start? Like, what's going on? So I go over to the bathroom, and it's loud, okay? It's really loud, whatever's going on in there. So basically what I do is I close my eyes, I slam the door open, and I'm just like, I swear if you guys don't get out here right now and just participate in the speed dating events, I just please, and then you can do whatever you want, just get out right now. And all of a sudden, all of these very satisfied men start trickling their way back to the speed dating event. And we just go on with it, but I never was welcome back at that hotel again. And you know what? They all said at the end that was the best $30 I've ever spent. So I was like, as long as you got what you needed from it, I guess that's what I'm here for. So there's so many more amazing stories I've had from this. This job never leaves me bored, ever. It's so entertaining, which is just what I need because I'm a very chaotic person. But so what I want in the future is I really want to do more niche. Like I want to do speed dating for all Jewish people, because a lot of Jewish people are looking for other Jewish people, and or if someone, all different types of religions and ethnicities, more like structured like that. I think that's more important. And I also want to start doing older ones. I've tried to do older ones. They haven't really gone that well. I mean, in the sense of, I feel like it's a little more of a push with the people, that are old. I don't know. Let me ask you advice. Being at the ripe age that you're at.
I'm 81.
Wow. You look great for 81.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think it was, what is it about speed dating that you feel like, how do I put this? Why are older people more reluctant to leave their house, they don't trust anybody, they are like, ask so many questions and then they just don't want to do it? Why aren't you guys more open-minded about speed dating, unlike people more my age that love it and they just want to come quick, go, and they love that in their mind? Do you feel like people that are older, they're just...
Well, I think it's a way to meet people that hasn't been on our lexicon. It's not what we did. It wasn't our tradition. But I must say, when I went to your speed dating, I loved it.
Yeah.
I had a great time flying around, and it was just wonderful.
Yes.
I had a bit of trouble with all the calls I got back on it.
I know.
Which is probably good, but there you go.
You did have many interests. I remember letting you know about the matching, and you had, I don't know how or why you got so many likes, but because you showed up in like cowboy gear. Like you showed up like you were about to ride a horse. And I see you walking up at Stonehouse in Westlake. And just so anyone listening knows, that is not the vibe of Stonehouse. So, but yeah, that goes to show confidence is key, because you are very confident, and women love confidence. They love a man who's very confident,
Yeah, well, I think, but I get this feeling all the time that American men are being beat down a bit by women.
Yeah.
Women have risen up, and I'm very pleased about that. I'm very pleased that they're captains, they're masters of industry, and they're everything. They're at the top of all the fields there is now, and that's really wonderful, because it needed to change. But this has intimidated some men too, because to be told what if your boss is a woman, a lot of guys that have a bit of problem with that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I wouldn't. If she's doing a great job, I wouldn't care if she was an orangutan. Really.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with anything. So it's. But I think just because it's not part of our history. It's not the way we did it. But I think the way you are doing it is really excellent, because it does open the whole field up, and I just had the best time. I loved it. I'll talk to your mother and I'll see if I can go back on another one.
No, you're not welcome back. Bye. You're not welcome. You're actually banned from ever doing them again.
Well, there you go.
You need to leave room for the other men that come.
Well, there you go. That's Savanna right here, and I've been banned from her future speed dating events. Wow.
Yes, for now. Maybe you can come back if, you really, yeah.
You're fascinating.
So, you as well.
Well, thank you, Savanna.
Yeah.
And thank you all for watching here. Now, obviously, the viewers want to know how to contact you. How can they?
So I'm working on my website at the moment. It should be up in the next month or so. But my Instagram is Savvy Speed Dating, all one word. It has, you can message me on there, and I always post events and all of that, and lots of good stuff to come. So definitely check it out and support a local little business owner that's trying to make her way through this expensive life. So yeah.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you, Savvy.
Thank you.
Not now, for there was time beyond time and space, of pleasure.